when I finally decided to give Psyker a break, I had to decide what other classes I would be playing first, or even second. Veteran was the one that I finally had decided on, and this guy, I figured I'd just share what I use because he's pretty good. Now, this setup is just kind of like, do whatever you want with the actual gun part of it because the melee is strong enough it can hold its own, but it's really more of just like a testing class. Not really the strongest, but it is strong with the extra damage on tagging enemies and stuff, and, toughness regen. Here's another one kinda like that one, but instead of using, just any other gun, I use a recon las gun. Pretty similar setup, but, I want to just get as much damage on targets with the tagging, and I also would use plasma gun here, but don't have a good one. It'd be a little bit, you know, wrong not to mention the revolver and the combat blade. Combat knife's just so good. And the final one is just executioner stance with the spearhead bolt gun. It's dummy powerful, but you only really have to worry about like three things as a veteran, right? And that is target priority, which that'll come with time, situational awareness, which is worked on also in time, and positioning and movement. Just stuff you can work on naturally as you play the game, but no in particular order there. They are really, really important stuff. And you can see in here, I just went ahead and queued up Meat Grinder and Heresy difficulty at that. It's not the highest, of course, but 4th out of 5 difficulties, right? You can see that the Spearhead Bolt Gun just melts through a lot of the noise here. This is a blue plasma gun, by the way. A blue one. No perks, no nothing. So if you want just an easy blanket recommendation, just use this thing. I don't use it a lot myself because I want to use some of the other weapons, but this thing's dummy strong for combat shotguns and the double barrel shotgun. I do kind of recommend the double barrel a little more. In certain instances, the combat shotgun's really good too. Let's be real, Veteran is more of a range class. It's not to say he can't use shotguns, it's just that I feel shotguns work better on somebody like a Zalot that's going to be in the fray a lot more. If Veteran uses it, he has to use his melee just that much smoother, I would say. I mean, it's really more just how well you can use both of them in tandem together, creating space for you to reload and whatnot. There's a lot of that stuff that goes into running close range setups. For full auto stuff, I mean, go with your gut a lot of the time. You stick flak and unyielding on there if you want it, or even maniacs if you're worried about those guys for the perks, and you should be good. I mean, there's some, like, for the recon lasgun where it's like 3rd, 4th, 5th shots, or maybe 5th and 6th shots in that bundle is like more damage, so think about what perks you want to run. What ends up being good on it is not always what you'd think. Like, Carapace here is not something you want to have on the lasgun, so just stick with crack grenades. Stepping outside of the meat grinder, finally going into actual missions, showing you what it's like in, more of a live environment, right? A lot of these setups are, very similar, very slight tweaks, so, you can kind of change what you want in them and it won't really affect it much, right? Like, this one is for tagging, getting good damage on those tagged opponents. It really is just a matter of playing around that and waiting to tag the right guys. It's all about movement, positioning, helping the team out. There's a lot of things that go into actually successfully running a veteran, right? And I do recommend having at least one of those like little talisman things, the relics, with +1 wound on it, because 2 wounds on a veteran, unless you're crazy cracked at the game, you're gonna want a little bit of leeway, right? So I recommend that at least as like, maybe is a thing you should think about, right? So when you're picking setups, depending on what weapons you choose, depends on what skills you should pick as well. A good example of this is the background footage here shows me using a crowd clearing weapon. A recon lasgun is good for the small guys, the fodder, anything not carapace basically, so flak and whatnot. Depending on the opponent you're facing, they have carapace on their face or on their body. Ballers have it on the face, scab ragers on the body. And a lot of the time, you just don't want to fight that, so you use crack grenades, you use maybe the dueling sword with rending on it to get through that stuff. And if you were to pick let's say the Spearhead bolt gun, that's when I would recommend the Shredder frag grenades because, they help clear out the fodder for you. And you don't want to waste ammo, that gun's ammo at least, on fodder enemies like that. This is one of those situations where, as a veteran too, you'll notice that I may have got knocked down there and cornered, but upon getting picked up, I immediately started helping out everybody, making sure reses are secured. That's kind of one of the things veterans really good at, is just making sure you take out all the noise and all the bullshit from kind of a ways away safely, while your teammates may be able to get saves, do the objectives, whatever. We kind of prioritize, getting specialists. Specialists like, the group of shotgunners that basically just rolled up on me out of nowhere. If I were to stay up there, I probably would have just got rolled by all of them, especially if I didn't properly just, block and push them or charge them with the chain axe or actually get my gun reloaded, right? If I stayed up there, just died. Since I didn't, I was able to come down here, fight a little bit, carve my way through all these guys, which wasn't a lot, get to a better spot so I can actually, reload the gun and help my team out by taking out stragglers, right? It's just one of those things that veterans kind of strive at, is helping the team out in ways like, guarding their bank from trappers. I mean, everybody can do that, but it's a matter of, it feels like we're not supposed to be in the front line anyway, so we're already there, we might as well do it, right? Seeing that situational awareness is super important. You can help your team a little bit, but be wary of any trappers or anything like that, like you just saw there. It's very important to know when to push, when not to push, when to be the guy in the back sniping at specialists, when to be the guy in the front helping out with, frag grenades or cracks or the occasional smoke grenades by some of the crazy veterans out there. Like, I never tried it, but personally saw a few vets running it, and they were pretty crazy with it. It's all about what you want in the playstyle, I suppose. I wasn't looking for that, so I didn't even try it. But you can kind of see in the background here, there was nothing I could really do to help my team, so I kind of just took on a few of the stragglers, was ready to get their toughness regen with the, special ability we have. What is it, like Voice of Command or something? I don't really remember the name. I just know that whenever you play higher difficulties, it's super important to have something that regens toughness, and that's pretty much a no-brainer for veteran. I mean, if you don't want pure damage with Executioner's Stance, that's pretty much what you're going to be running. So it's good to understand when it's time to actually deal with the specialists, deal with anything, plaguing the team, or just help them out by giving them toughness, taking out pressure off of them. Like, there's a lot of small things that go into being a good veteran, right? And you can't just implement these things overnight. You gotta, fail a little bit. You gotta get it right. You gotta take through how many missions before it actually clicks. There's a lot of that you will eventually get. It eventually clicks in the brain. I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't let the bullshit get to you because you're playing a squishy class. Therefore, if you do make mistakes, you're not going to have a lot of leeway to recover, right? So that's why I recommend having the extra wound, 1 or 2 if you want, it doesn't matter, it's your veteran. But anything to help you as like a quality of life thing on this class is something I would recommend personally. Now, I didn't talk about melees a lot because really, you can choose whatever you want, your preferred melee, whatever you're good with, whatever. The actual firearms that veteran has, the guns that he can use, are more important for team selection, your build, what difficulty you're going in, all that. The weapon you bring in is very important. You bring in like a vigilant auto gun. It may not be the best thing, but you'll see something out of it, sure. You bring in the revolver, you're going to see that it one-taps a lot of the nerds out there. A lot of the specialists just die instantly. And I mean, that's value right there. I mean, many people probably run the plasma gun for the extra pen, all that damage it can do, you can charge it. There's a lot of good weapons he has, but only a few amazing choices, it feels like. So, find what you prefer. I like, a few of the different weapons, Some of the full automatics are very fun because of how consistent they can be. The revolver is great because it smacks nerds in the head. I mean, shotguns are fun because they're shotguns. There's a lot of good stuff here that he's got. He's eating good. It's just a matter of finding what you prefer and actually using it. At that point, learning it. Remember to also, like when you're melee fighting, push. Block and fucking push these nerds, because goddamn, in a situation like this, I would not have survived without it. It's just kind of one of those things that it'll click over time, you eventually get it, but it matters a lot to know how to properly fight in melee, dodge properly, blocking, pushing, you know, prioritizing targets with the guns and switching it to the melee for the other guys. Like, there's a lot of things that go into actually, properly fighting, right? Now, I'm no expert, obviously. I've only gone to Auric level heresy missions, so, take what I say with a little bit of grain of salt, but those things are what I've noticed help me instantly, right then and there. Performing better in melee and just, having better game sense overall to know, like, yes, I can get away with going in with melee here, and I can switch here real quick to shoot something far over there and then go back to fighting in melee. There's a lot of small things like that, you build up over the time of playing, and it just all is eventually there. All knowledge that you have. It's like a deck of cards, you have all the cards after a while because you've learned all the information. The information being the cards there. But you see what I'm getting at, right? It's nothing too hectic, too crazy that you can't handle just by trying. That's the hardest thing to get yourself to do in here is just getting past that mental block of like, should I even attempt it? Am I not going to even help the team? Just go in there and see what happens, man. Like, if you die, you die. You're gonna have failures in this game. That's just how it fucking works, man. The important thing in this game is always getting back up and trying again because, even though you failed that one mission, you may not fail the next one because, the modifier may be easier or you may have learned from that or whatever. There's a lot of that goes into it too, the mental block of not wanting to actually disappoint other players, disappoint yourself a little bit because you're not ready or whatever. Just get past a lot of that and stop caring about that. As you get higher and higher in difficulties, you'll have better and better teammates, right? So that means you need to kind of be on par with them. So just go at your own pace. It doesn't matter, no one's going to pressure you, and if they do, fuck them. Who fucking cares, right? So going back to target priority, right? We talked about it being one of those things that veterans should work on. So a good example of this is we're about to get hit by, Tox Flamers or Tox Bombers or whatever it was, right? You can actually see the gas right there. And depending on what I do, depends on how long we have to deal with that fucking bullshit, right? So I take matters in my own hands, instantly get rid of him. There's a second one, another fucking guy, and then a sniper too, but I'm out of ammo. You can take out the flamers and the bombers, but the sniper is a bit easier to dodge because he doesn't make a fucking cloud of toxins around you, right? So he's lower priority in that regard, but he's still one of those guys I want to go and get. But to be fair, the bombers are way more annoying to the team. So as long as you have a decent enough team that's paying attention to the laser beam pointing at them, you should be okay with not having to go and get the sniper. But as you see, not dealing with a flamer or a bomber, that's kind of just plain stupid, truth be told. That's not a smart move, okay? You want to get those guys out of there as quickly as you do hounds and trappers, right? Mutants are another kind of story there. I'd say they're not that bad. A little bit easier to dodge and get around than, say, like a dog that can just, like, instead of doing the typical, big jump on you, does like a quick one, It's stuff like that, like I said, you'll feel out over time and be like, okay, I will go for this guy, I'll go for that guy, I'll avoid this guy for, this specialist or whatever. Because, see, now that there's a free Tox Bomber to do whatever he wants, nowhere is safe, right? So, as the veteran on the team, I try to get out of all that and go and find him, hunt him down, and get rid of him because I feel like it's my job. It's one of those things that over time I felt was the proper way to do things. The order of operations just fell into play like that. But finally stepping away from voice of command, here's some executioner stance gameplay with the spearhead bolt gun. This thing might as well just be called the heavy bolter, because goddamn, this thing fucks hard, okay? This is my anti-carapace gun, basically. Like, if it is Crusher or anything on par like that, it's going to meet this gun. That's how I look at it, man. Like, this thing is so good against, Beast and Nurgle. It's good against... Fuck, what else is really a problem? I don't know, Demon Hosts. I mean, Demon Hosts aren't that bad, you can avoid them, but when you can't, because your teammate actually hits them or you accidentally hit them, it'll be good for that, too. It's also just, one of the only setups that I run just because it feels amazing to just hit that button for Executioner's Stance and then mag dump everything in front of you. Like, god damn, you ain't living until you try that shit at least once, man, because fuck, it rocks. It's a really good weapon in general, too, because it does one-tap most of the annoying guys like trappers and shotgunners and flamers and bombers and whatnot. If it doesn't one-tap it, it can basically just be full auto, just bam. Once you get this puppy in your hands, you'll realize that you just gotta let this fucking dog bark sometimes, man. Like, you let this bitch out, and it goes rabid. Insane gun here. Whenever you need to, you go full auto at the hip, and ADS, you go single shot, which is a huge utility for this gun. And, because it's such a good anti-armor weapon, I do bring the Shredder frag grenades to help with the crowds. To be fair, the chain sword is also really good for them because the heavy attacks are just huge, wide sweeps to take out whatever is in front of you. That's what I mean earlier by, choosing your weapons and then choosing your skills properly, right? Because depending on what you want to run gun-wise, you may not need more anti-tank in the skills. Or you may just want to go full anti-tank because you hate anti-armor stuff in general. Or, well, you love it, but you hate you know what I mean. You hate armor, so you're anti-armor. You know what I mean? It's late, I'm sorry, okay? But you see what I'm getting at? You just let the fucking mag dump on all the specialists and the kill feed goes crazy. That's probably one of the biggest, neuron activated things in the brain, just letting it go and having a blast afterward. Very cool. Helps the old monkey brain out, to have fun in this game. Now, for the people that don't think melee is important on a veteran, I got another thing to tell you, and it's probably that it's more important than on some of the other classes, honestly, because while you do have range capabilities, doesn't mean that you shouldn't be proficient in melee, because, you're gonna get cornered, you're gonna get charged by a lot of the bullshit that wants to stop you, hold you in place, whatever. It's important that you know exactly how to deal with all these guys, which, playing another class will help that, but it also is important to just block. Okay, I know I mentioned it earlier, but block and push. Ragers hate it. They fucking hate that simple trick. They hate being blocked and then pushed away like they're just a bunch of pussies, okay? You show them that they don't mean anything and let the team come and save you if you can't hold out long enough. It's really just a matter of playing it like that, playing movement, target prioritization. I mean, I mentioned all this before, but it really is important for a veteran to do all these things in the right way because, we're squishy, but I'm going to be able to make a lot of mistakes. So if you make a lot of mistakes, maybe practice on a lot of the other difficulties before you try the harder stuff. Practice with other weapons, other melees, other perks. Just practice, alright? I suppose I should, address situational awareness. That one's really just use your ears, keep your head on a swivel, turning around and looking behind you is important. It's really all there is to it. Now, movement, that's one of those ones you're gonna have to feel for yourself. Like, for me, I learned pretty quickly, if I dodge right, I can crouch and do a slide at the same time. Same for going back and all that. That little extra slide at the end of a dodge can get you a little bit further. It's not mandatory, but it could be the difference between you making it into a Psyker shield or getting hit by, I don't know, the trapper, the dog, sniper shot, flamers. Like, there's a lot of things that go into that. You know, it could be any specialist, it could be anything you're dodging, right? But what is important is just knowing that you have a slide at the end of every dodge if you want it. Not mandatory to do, but just knowing you have it is enough to get you out of the few situations where it actually matters, rather than dying whenever you don't know that you can use that little tech. Other than that, it is just, you know, keep your slides up, you know, maybe even count your dodges if you need to. It's not something I do, but I just recommend just trying to feel out your movement in any way you possibly can like that, because the sooner you get that down, the sooner you can easily avoid stuff. You can push through crowds with that, the dodge and block and push. It's a really easy way to navigate through all the, you know, hordes without getting hurt. All the noise and bullshit that is. Eventually everything in the brain just clicks, and then you start playing better, and then you can go from there, right? It's just a matter of identifying problems that you're having. Are you not dodging enough? Are you dodging too much to where you dodge the maximum amount you can before you need to wait a second? You start jumping instead. Do you not block, or do you not push? Do you have weird weapon choices? Are you not using the right mark for your gun? Because using different marks on them, like different versions of it, matters, right? So like the combat knife has two versions, and one of them's got slashing heavies and one stab heavy, but the other version has only stab heavies. Kind of up to you what you want, right? They do change movesets. It changes how, you know, you should use the weapon. Not all the way, but it does change a lot, right? There's a lot of things you gotta think about when just building a class together. And even if you get everything down to a T, you're still gonna make mistakes. And it's alright to make those mistakes, because, you know, part of being human and all that, right? So don't ever let, you know, anybody flame you for fucking up one or two things, or going down too many times, or missing a dodge on this or that. It's all a learning experience, okay? Doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there, as long as you're getting there. Whatever pace, whatever fucking rate, it doesn't matter. As long as you're having fun the whole way too, that's a hugely important part. Because at the end of the day, it is all for fun, right? So do all that, maybe find a new class you like in this. I mean, it is a little hard at first, but it did come together for me as well. Even though I've spent 20-ish minutes telling you about all this, I still can't be saved from my own stupidity.